3, 2, 1, go. What's up guys, welcome. I'm Drug-Free Dave and I'm really excited to show you this, why am I looking at the microphone? Little short film that I made with two sculpts that I made in Nomad Sculpt. So first I'm just going to show you the little robots that I made in Nomad. These are the robots that I made in Nomad Sculpt. You can see the scene is 272K, so not too bad. And these are all just little pieces that are stuck together. Some are a little higher than others because I still want to maintain a bit of, the detail. But everything else is very simple, cylinders, things like that. It's all shapes. Here's the little guy. He's it looks good with smooth shading with the material and Blender, but here he looks not that great. I would like to make him in balance and kind of do him very efficiently. I think that would work really well for him because he's very simple shapes. I guess it's all simple shapes. Look at that. Obviously I don't know the anatomy of a car, but I know they have those little shock things. I thought I had two of them. And the wheels, I'll show you in the video. The wheels are actually a really fun material in the video. At first they were going to be solid like this, but I changed them to something else. He has little fins. So this is the other little truck that I made. So this would be fun to actually animate as well. We'll see what we do with that. And then I'm going to play the video so you can see it in its entirety. I'm not an animator and I'm newly a 3D artist, 3D sculptor. I just like pushing the boundaries and figuring out what I can do with what I know. So this is kind of a culmination of everything that I love with film, 3D art, regular art, design, animation, sound design, editing, filming, lighting, all of that stuff kind of goes into it. There's also other elements of things that I like I really enjoy sort of vintage, retro, kind of the retro future thing. I had a lot of elements that I knew I wanted to go along with it to try to capture that feel. First we'll play the video and then I will just talk to you about how I made it, what went into it, and yeah, I hope you like it.
This is Sucker's Smile program. The 2380th broadcast by Mrs. Sucker, the mother of the Southwest. The sweetest of music, arranged by director Jerry Gates for Mrs. Sucker's String Octet, Marathon Jungle, Satellite Man, and our guest of the week. When I go to sleep, I never count. I count all the times that I'm in there.
If only she'd smile, I'd stop for a while, and then I would get to know Linda. But miracles and when my lucky star begins to shine, with one lucky break I'll make Linda myself, hello Linda. If only she'd smile, I'd stop for a while, and then I would get to know Linda. But miracles still happen, and when my lucky star begins to shine, with one lucky break I'll make Linda mine.
After Jim Burdett has sung dreams about Linda, is it logical for Mrs. Stucker's strings and keys to play I Dream Too Much?
Five, four, three, two, one. Five, four, three, two, one.
We're at this first frame. So this image is from Midjourney. So what I had to do was bring that image into Procreate, cut around the image, like cut around the spacecraft, and then patch in the background with the stars so I could use the stars and have the illusion that the spacecraft is moving through space at the tiniest bit. So literally all I do is the spacecraft is stationary, and then I just have the back plane of the stars slightly moving a little bit to the right, just so there's some movement. Obviously I have filters and things from Final Cut Pro. The words have filters, and the bottom it says in association with Landry Enterprises, which is just a fun little, I like to put those fun little Easter eggs in. And another Easter egg for anyone who is a Patreon member, I actually uploaded this video on the 26th or 27th so they could see it early, the paid members. And there's actually a typo in it. So if you're a member of my Patreon and you look at the beginning, I was doing the typing quickly, and the Enterprises thing was like a last minute thing, and I spelled it with a Z for some reason. I feel like it should be with a Z, but I edited it, so now it's now it's an S. But for those paid patrons, then you see the dumb edit. All right, so let's keep this thing rolling. Journey to Earth, that was just a fun, I don't know, it just made sense to me. These two little characters trying to get to Earth from either the past or the future, I'm not really sure. This image is also made in Midjourney. This one is made in Midjourney as well, and the robots' names are Big Robo and Little Vroom, like you know before. And this audio is from the Internet Archive, I think it's Internet Archives or something like that. Well, there's all these old time shows, radio broadcasts, and I actually listened to a ton of them while I was making this, while I was creating it. I would just listen to hours of these old time radio broadcasts with the commercials and everything's advertisements. It's really just very, very interesting to listen to because things were just so different then, but it's a great resource and I still enjoy listening. Even some of the old shows, they're really like dated, would very much not be able to be allowed in society today, but it was different times, and it's interesting to listen to these kind of relics of the past. So let's keep moving. So that's when I filter out of the old-timey feel, because I want to actually show like what I've done and actually the real time, what's happening in real time. So that goes away from like the film projection type, old school film thing. So here is, okay, so the background is created in Midjourney, but I also made the floor plane. So I created a floor plane, and I just have to match the lights and add lights until it looks like they are in the scene with the background. So there's like a floor plane that goes back a certain length, and then it just goes to the background. So the real challenge was to match those up and to mesh those together so that they look, so that they match. That little tiny animation, if we go back, this little tiny animation that was done in Procreate, I made a bunch of those, and I like to make those in Procreate just frame by frame. That's probably about 10 frames, just for little pops. And there was a couple of them that I had. I think I used it 3 times in this animation. I used this one twice, and there's another one where I use his little like radio antennae. So I just think it's a fun little interesting pop to put in there. Oh, and of course I should add that these are the material, the lighting, everything is done in Blender. So they're sculpted in Nomad, but everything, all the animation and everything else is done in Blender. I basically just use empties, what are kind of like these empty cubes, which I can use to move the sculpts around and have them do different things. So everything is kind of compiled into a box, and the box is really what I can animate. But then I can still go in and make slight movements and things like that. So they're not rigged per se. It's just animated in a different way, and that's the only way that I know how to make them move. So I wanted them to, you notice the lights, I wanted them to have the ability to sync up with each other and to be synced, and they would have different colors that represent different things. You'll notice that sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're red, yellow, and green when they're going. But then there's some other times where they're not really synced, so there's that too. One of my favorite things to use here is the depth of field. So I love depth of field in photography and videography and things like that. So I wanted to keep the focus on them and then him kind of come out of frame and knock over the camera. So that was kind of fun to animate. So this is the opposite. So it's the same thing I did before. The background is actually AI generated, but he is actually on a plane going straight into the wall, but I just had to make it match up. And I think for this one, I actually took the background image plane and I laid it down on the ground so I would still get some of that same texture. So he's actually on the background plane, just the background plane is stretched so it looks like the ground. And he stops right before he gets to the wall. And I have to be careful of the lights in front so they don't, so it doesn't light up the wall. So that little scene, I'll play that again. So this little one is, so we have the floor, the background again is AI generated. And what I did is I have some foreground, I have some background, that black bar going across that looks like it's the kind of like the railing. That's just like a black box that's stretched, and I put some lights on it so they would reflect on the ground. The image reflects on the ground, and then he's essentially being lit by the emission. So I brought the plane in, the image plane, set as an emit, which means that essentially like the lighter parts are going to emit light. So that's all that's being reflected on him, and that's essentially all the lights that are on this scene. The other lights that are on in the scene obviously are from him, and that's 2 for the top 2 lights and then 1 light bar from the bottom. If I could go back and change this scene, I would probably change the light so that there's a thing called multiple importance, and when you have that checked, that means that your light source will show up in reflections like as the light source rather than just the brightness of the light. So I would go and turn that off so that you wouldn't see that black bar in the floor, which you can see is much brighter than the lights. I would change that so multiple importance is off, and you would only see the reflections of the 4 little lights that are at the front of the car. But at this point in time, I'm done. I'm not going to go back and re-edit stuff because I would wind up doing that forever. Oh, and also I changed the audio to Cathedral and Final Cut Pro, so if you notice the difference. Okay, and this was one of my first scenes So that was a fun 3 scenes to kind of put together. And the background is AI generated. I have the camera sort of flat, and if you look, you can see where the background, where the floor ends and the background begins, but it's sort of textured, so you don't really notice it that much unless you're really looking at it. But these were just 3 scenes, and this was actually the initial scene that I just had. It was initially a turntable and him going around, and that's when I decided to just make him kind of go any which way and then make him turn. So this is essentially me learning how to use these rudimentary animation techniques in Blender because I don't know them. I had to learn how to make the propeller, go using, I can't remember what they're called. There's so many really intricate, complicated things in Blender, but I was just learning how to put them all together. And then I also wanted to make use of the depth of field from behind and then crossing in front. I'm keeping my mind thinking about films, like different shots and how different shots can be dynamic and how they can come together to like sort of tell a story. Now, there's no plot here, obviously, but it's just supposed to be fun and cute, and I enjoy it. All these sounds, everything is, a lot of the audio, not the radio station, not the radio broadcast, but the audio is all sounds downloaded from Zapsplat.com. They're a great company. They have tons of sounds. I think they're based in the UK, judging by a lot of the voices have accents. Oh, and I think I had to pay in euros as well. But it's a great site. I downloaded all the sounds from that. So I literally have downloaded like hundreds and hundreds of sounds of different things, and I use them to plug in. So he's mostly an RC car, but then he's also like a drill. There's like little piston sounds. There's sounds of like a bike, like the brakes of a bike. They kind of give that like squishy, airy sound. So there's tons of sounds that go together that make up these guys. And the propeller for Big Robo, the propeller is actually, I think it's like a biplane idling, like a 1940 something biplane idling or something like that. That was the sound, but that's the sound I use for the propellers for this. This was a fun scene as well. You can see the background is yellow, but I wanted it to match that beautiful background colors from the Midjourney image back there. I love the lighting on the left and the blue and the yellow, and I like those bright, vibrant colors for this. They're both red and greenish colors, like greenish metallic. So I like those bright colors that go along with it. So this was initially that turntable thing that I just wanted to animate. This was the original turntable. I just added the backdrop and the floor and him going around. I actually did it in reverse, but I think I might have switched it. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, I didn't switch it. The original one was going in reverse. And if you notice, this is when I started to really pay attention to the lights, because I wanted it to be green when he was going, yellow when he was in between, and then red was like coming to a stop. So if you notice, the lights should change accordingly. And I also like that little droid sound. It's supposed to be Big Robo sort of communicating in a sense. And I got that sound from Zapsplat as well. All right, I'm back. My fiance is loud as can be. Let's get back to it. This scene was one of I would say my favorite scene to animate, and this was just, I just wanted him to be doing something interesting and fun. Because I originally wanted to do just a turntable of him, but I felt, okay, let him ride into the spot where he's going to do the turntable. So all I had to do was do the turntable, and when he was flat, I just reversed where he was coming from, and then I just animated the movement in like the shell and things like that. And then you add the sounds in, and that's one of my favorite parts when the animation is done and it looks good. And then I can just add the sounds. I love it. So here's this little scene. And also this little piece that'll come up is downloaded all completely in Nomad Sculpt. I just, just added like a cylinder and some pieces, very low size in Nomad, but I added the textures and stuff in Blender, and I added the lights and stuff in Blender as well. This whole scene I made this in Nomad Sculpt as well, and I'll show you this. But this was just I was just trying to use shapes in really low, small number of vertices as much as I could. I couldn't use a background for this. He was traveling through the space, so I had to just make something up and just make these little elements and make lights and stuff like that. And I actually used a lot of the things in Midjourney that I was seeing when I look up spaceship, things like that. I just used them for inspiration, and I kind of designed something based around that. And the background is another image of like the cosmos or whatever. I thought that was fun. This little bit is my favorite. So this is Big Robo, the little one left. He always, rides off. So Big Robo can sync. So he's connected via Vroom Sync. The date is January 11th, 1981. I think I was supposed to put 2081. I was supposed to put 2081. I wasn't actually supposed to put my birthday. Oh well. It's 11:44 a.m. Yeah, that's meant to be 2081. Actually, it's not 81. Oh well, it still is 2081. But this was fun because I wanted to do the perspective of Big Robo flying in the room.
If only she'd smile, I'd stop for a while, and then I would get to know Linda. But
This took so long to kind of get right and edit, but I wanted the film to play in the phone. Now these images, these are Midjourney images, but I brought them into like this little robot moving, this robot moving. Those are images that are from Midjourney, but then I also brought them into Pika. So with Pika, you can do really small, slight animations. It's very hard to get right. It's not that great. It's not nearly as good as Midjourney, but you can do some motion. So I wanted to add some motion to these. I didn't just want to use the still image. So you'll see that there's slight motion in them. This little guy, I'm not going to say what this is from. It's from a movie. Some people will know. Put it in the comments if you love that movie as much as I did. So this is actually just the time lapse and what I always do. But even though I like the time lapses, I wanted to do something really special with this one. So I wanted to have them watching the time lapse of them being built. Now I didn't actually record a little room being built because I think I just did him. I think I was on the couch. I had finished this and I was like, let me make a little sidekick for this guy. So yeah, I was on the couch and I just started designing this cute little buggy, and that became Little Vroom, who took over the whole film. Fun editing these to try and make it look like old degraded film and stuff like that. So then we have the end, and I just have a lot of the equipment that I used and everything that I used. This is an AI generated Art Deco type frame. I looked at a bunch of those and I just wanted to add a little. First I had black with like the film grain and scratches and things, but I just wanted to add another little element. So I did a lot of research on some of those old splash screens and things like that they had, and the type as well. I wanted it to kind of match up with that old school vibe. So then I really enjoyed animating, so then I added some other animations to this. So you'll see that I've added this little animation.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And I wanted to make this so that it synced together so I could just play it in a loop. So as you'll see, it syncs up right when he stops. And that's the new scene.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But I wanted to tie it in, so I added 2 in for next week for test track, so it would make sense in why I would have it at the end of this, as like a preview for something that might be coming up. I just learned how to do that tape stop as well. I also forgot to mention the eyes. If you see, tell me what you see in his eyes. Let me play that again. So I edited that with just Final Cut Pro using obviously the letter Z, and I really wanted to point it out to you. Alright, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys liked the little short film. I will no doubt do some more animations with Big Robo and Little Room, because I just had a lot of fun animating them. And it might be cool to learn how to bring them into Unreal Engine so I can make them move around in like an actual environment. That might be awesome. I think I'm a long way from that, but it doesn't hurt to dream. So I'm going to show you a turntable of another little character that I just finished up. This is going to be, it was supposed to be a crash course, but it's a little complicated and it went a little long. So I think it's just going to be a normal tutorial, but this will be Nomad Sculpt 1.90, and it'll be this little cute character. You know, I'm always doing these weird little characters. But then after that, I think I want to work on some robots. Check out Instagram, Bambino Monkey. They have some really cool artwork and I want to sculpt it. There's also like Jack of Spades, I think his name, Jack of Spades. I have a lot of things that I want to sculpt. So get ready, buckle up. We're going to do a lot of sculpting in Nomad Sculpt and even some in Valence. All right, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, four, three, two, one.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.